This is indeed a disturbing universe.
Hello and welcome back to Down the Simpsons Hole. Tonight we're obviously doing Lisa's Pony, which is actually a pretty great episode, as a bit above average as it is. Also, this one has, I guess, what I would normally call a bonus commentary, although I don't know exactly how bonus it is. It's just Mike Reiss in a room by himself with a microphone, kind of like me. At any rate, there is quite a bit of commentary here, so let's just get it started.
Hi, I'm Jim Brooks.
Hi, I'm Al Jean, one of the showrunners and writers of this episode.
This is Al Jean's friend, Matt Groening.
This is Dan Castellaneta, voice of Homer and also Al Jean's friend.
Hello, this is Julie Kavner, and I know all these people.
David Silverman, supervising director and friend of everybody here.
This is Julie's first DVD appearance, right?
Yes, I'm a virgin.
It won't be bad.
We'll be gentle.
Also, I should mention this. James L. Brooks just mentioned that this was Julie Kavner's first commentary, and obviously we've heard her a few times this season already. But I think what's going on here, obviously, they just don't record these commentaries in order. And I believe this one was recorded, it's most likely was recorded the same day they recorded Stark Raving Dad, because all the same participants are here, minus Rich Moore. And obviously Mike Reiss as well, because he's doing the bonus commentary. He wasn't there for that one either.
Talk about those petals unfolding.
So this is the Pony episode?
Yes, actually, I can tell you, people say, how do you come up with ideas for episodes? And with Mike and me, we thought, Lisa likes ponies, we'll give her a pony. And then later on, Lisa has a saxophone, so I show how she got her saxophone. It's not that hard sometimes. But, when we were thinking about it, we decided to explore the consequences. If you actually did have a pony, what would that mean in a suburban house?
How you doing, everybody? This is Mike Reiss, and if you found this commentary, you have way too much time on your hands. So I'll try and make it worth your while. I was one of the writers and the showrunner on this episode. I wrote that blackboard joke. I think that's the first and the last one I ever wrote. So there you go. That justifies me doing the commentary right here.
And something they didn't mention, and I think it only gets mentioned briefly later in this commentary, is that this is the first episode directed by Carlos Beza, who I really don't know a whole lot about, because there aren't a whole lot of pictures of him. There isn't much information on him on the internet. The only things I could really find out is that, well, first of all, in past commentaries, David Silverman has mentioned him several times, and I'm pretty sure Silverman was looking over his shoulder on this one. He was the supervisor, I guess. But the only things I could find out about this guy is that he directed quite a few great episodes in seasons 3, 4, and 5, and then didn't direct another thing until Futurama, and he only directed one of those. So I really don't know what the deal is with this guy.
I want to talk just a little bit about it. We always say Al Jean and I were the showrunners on this show, and the showrunner job is a huge job. It's very nice to work at The Simpsons unless you're running the show, in which case it's just a horrible place to be. We were working about 80 to 100 hours a week on the show. We had 1 week off a year. It was really brutal. As the showrunner, we would supervise all the writing. There's 8 rewrites every show goes through. We direct the actors, edit the audio tracks, supervise storyboards, character design, add the music, add the sound effects. It was just no fun at all. And when the show finally ended, when we left the show, I was 80 pounds overweight. That's what the job had done to me. And I went to the doctor, and he's examining me. He goes, "You're morbidly obese. Do you know what that is?" And I said, "Yeah, that's what Homer is." So I look much better now, though, but you'll have to take my word for it. Anyway, this is all a long way of going around to say we were working very hard at this time, and they dumped on us that we had to write this episode on top of that. So this show was written by Al Jean and I. between 10 and 1 in the morning every night after we had finished the 12 to 14-hour workday. And so you'll see the show is a lot about Homer being overworked, about insomnia and falling asleep on the job. So that's the long intro to this.
Here's one of our many 2001 parodies. These apes, I think, were supposed to look like Homer, right?
Well, one does.
Yeah,
This
one
one
does.
here.
There he is.
Which one?
The
Homer-looking one.
I never knew if this joke exactly worked, where he's supposed to be inventing goofing off, but that's what it was.
And of course, many allusions to Homer being ape-like.
Man, I remember we went back and forth a lot on the design of Homer Ape, but I can't remember how many we went through, but it took a while to get that right.
Sorry, Van Gasser. I love those Mike Reiss jump scares.
Uh-huh. Yeah, number 4.5 read. Got it.
No, it's a size 4.5 read. Is that something real?
According to my brother, who plays the saxophone.
We thought of this story. Jim Brooks pitched in an awful lot on this one also. He was a big help. He decided to make sort of the inciting thing, to make it all about a reed. And I have to say, I didn't even know saxophones had reeds. So we had to do a lot of reed research.
And this is the first episode we introduced the store King Toots, right? Right next to Moe's.
Yeah, and we've never used it since.
But it's always in
People
the
always feel
background
compelled
now.
to draw it in the background.
Yeah.
You mean Lisa never played the sax before the show?
No, it was just that the characters have such, basic qualities to them. Like, to do a story, you just go, oh, let's do a story about Lisa's saxophone, or let's do a story about the pony.
That was first show stuff, Lisa playing the saxophone. That was part of the
Right.
Part of the
always part
series
of the deal,
starting, yeah.
Always.
This is a whole lot of nothing.
That, again, you probably heard on other tracks. That's Lunch Lady Doris, and her voice is done by Doris Grau, who was not even an actress. She was the script supervisor on the show. She would time how long a reading took and whether the show was too long or too short. And she just had that great, beautiful, tobacco-cured voice, and so we loved using her on the show.
Of course, our Wally Cox character.
The moron next door closed early. I happen to be that moron.
So Wally Cox was the star of Mr. Peepers, a really old television show, sitcom. And he was also a very popular guest on Hollywood Squares, but he was also the voice of Underdog as well.
This character was modeled on Wally Cox, and this is an aside. We threw this in for our friend Ted Phillips, who actually did this in a college talent show. He would play the spoons.
This is based.
And before I let Al Jean explain his side of this, I looked this guy Ted Phillips up repeatedly and couldn't find any information about this guy. I mean, he's got a pretty common name, right? But I was looking up, Ted Phillips, South Carolina. Well, Al Jean mentions that he lived in South Carolina. But spoons and all this stuff. And I couldn't find any existence of this guy. And eventually I ran into the information that Ted Phillips was one of the people who was in Harvard Lampoon with Al Jean and Mike Reiss. And so I eventually found this picture, but I had to squeeze it in here because I had already finished the video when I did that. But at any rate, down at the bottom left is Mike Reiss. Bottom right is Al Jean holding the iron up to his ear. And the guy juggling in the white shirt is George Meyer. And the dude holding the axe is Ted Phillips, who I believe is dead now.
Based on a friend of Mike's and mine who actually did play his teeth with a spoon at a college talent show and got a huge round of applause. His name is Ted Phillips.
What's he doing now?
Still playing his teeth with a spoon.
Was he a huge success?
He has 2 kids. He lives in South Carolina still. He's doing.
And according to the internet, again, I don't know if any of this shit is true, but according to the internet, Duke Phillips from The Critic was named after Ted Phillips.
Doing well. There's another joke upcoming where one of the kids is singing My Ding-a-Ling, and I know that was a huge difficulty getting that song cleared. It's a Chuck Berry song, and I think it was the guy who produced the Simpsons CD who finally personally appealed to Chuck Berry to get the song cleared so that we could have him sing. It was like the last minute before it was supposed to air.
It's Chuck Berry's only hit. It was like one of his only #1 songs.
Wait a minute. Oh, you
Yeah.
mean
My Ding-a-Ling was his biggest hit.
really?
Yeah.
What wasn't his only hit?
No, I think. Well, I don't want to debate Chuck Berry over.
Wait, we still have to get clearance for the DVD.
We're gonna settle this.
And yes, that is correct. I believe that sounds right. 2005. I did read that somewhere, but I didn't retain it. That Ted Phillips had passed away in 2005. So it was only 2 years after this commentary. But what Dan Castellaneta was just saying about Chuck Berry is correct. I just don't think he had the details perfect, but Chuck Berry did have other hit songs in America and the UK. They were top 10 songs, but none of them were a number one hit except for My Ding-a-Ling for some reason.
You know, this song was written for the tiny tots. It was the adults who worried about it.
Yeah, as they should have been worried about it.
Stupid gum. Number 4.5. Read. Woohoo!
Mm-hmm. And what instrument does she play?
I don't know.
There's a lot of complaints on the staff. We get people going, "Is Homer that stupid?" That's a question you don't hear too much anymore. He is that stupid.
I'm sure your father is. Maybe.
This was a nice technique doing this on black. I don't think we've done that since.
Bingo.
This was rare that we did that without a thought bubble, which we would generally now.
My ding-a-ling.
There it is.
By the way, I'm sorry, Cyril. I just noticed your comment. I had not noticed that, but at least the picture that I'm using for Al Jean in season 3, he does look like Caleb Hammer.
A lot of work for that 3 seconds.
Pretty good.
It is funny.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That was something that happened at Al Jean's high school, at his school talent show. It wasn't Al, of course, but somebody got in a lot of trouble for singing My Ding-a-Ling. And My Ding-a-Ling, it's probably come up again on these tracks somewhere, which is, there is nothing harder than clearing a Chuck Berry song, which that is. To get a Chuck Berry song, you have to approach Chuck Berry in person. I think they have to pay him in cash for the use of the song. There's no holding company or music publisher who can sign off for him.
There definitely has to be now because he passed away. I think it was 2017. But I also just read what Cyril was writing there. And by the way, I also didn't catch that. Well, I knew that the year was in that. I'm too busy talking on the microphone to read what's on my screen anyway. But yeah, Cyril, as far as the Chuck Berry stuff, I watched 2 different videos of him singing that song. And I don't know which one you saw, but the first one I saw was way back when it was new, and I mean the audience looked uncomfortable.
Here, I thought this move was good, and we hadn't done this a lot prior to this point.
Yeah, it was one of the earliest times we tried this camera move, and it works very effective.
This, whatever that is, a gardenia in her hair is a Billie Holiday reference.
The other recollection I had is we had some color problems when it came back from Korea, right? They had a blue spotlight on her, so she looked really blue, but you really didn't see it as coming from the spotlight.
Exactly, yeah. We were trying to do a spotlight effect, and it just didn't work, because it didn't work with the camera move, basically, so we dropped it.
I think the original time we saw this, we were shocked, because they had her in that blue spotlight, and she was bright blue. She looked like a Smurf. It was a very, very big retake we had to do to recolor her throughout the end of that act.
Yeah, what we found is that the effects that are supposed to be subtle sometimes come back so overpowering that you don't want to try them.
That's right. I think every time we had a shot of Lisa, she looked like she was blue.
Let's hear it for Lisa Simpson and her wacky sax.
I noticed that Homer doesn't call it the saxophone yet. It's still saxophone.
We did that for a while, and then some of the writers said, that's really stupid. Why do we keep doing it?
Well, in Moaning Lisa, back in season 1, he did call it a saxophone.
Lisa, what did I tell you about playing that saxophone thing in the house?
I was just playing the blues, Dad.
And while we're on the subject of Moaning Lisa, I've been asked many times why it is that I like Lisa's pony but don't like Moaning Lisa. And the answer is, while they are sort of similar because she's upset throughout the entire episode, or most of it anyway, Moaning Lisa, she's upset for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And in this episode, I think she's got quite a bit of reason to be upset.
I think this was the first appearance of the Butterfat's ice cream parlor, which is based on Farrell's and those places.
But I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me.
Very sweet. I mean, Homer's trying.
He always tries.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it. He always tries.
Yeah.
It's never been like he doesn't care, you know?
Right. He stopped trying season 7 through 9, though.
Then we had to put it back in his contract. Well, this is the point, too. We were worried. We did 3 shows in a row. The first one was Saturdays at Thunder, where he's worried he's a bad father to Bart. Then here he's a bad father to Lisa. And then the one before that was the Krusty show, where Krusty's father and Krusty were estranged.
The thing about that, though, is that's true from his point of view, because there was actually a Treehouse of Horror mixed up in there as well. But that one was produced second in production order. But you could also make the argument that there was quite a little montage in there, or at least a section of one of those of the acts of that episode was, had a montage of Homer and Bart bonding again. So you could almost say that there was a fourth one thrown in there.
And nobody seemed to mind. We did 3 shows about fathers fighting with their children in a row.
Because everybody can relate.
Yeah.
It's very universal.
You taping it?
Yes.
I'll watch it later.
The plane.
No, my freakish little friend, that's a seagull.
Harry Shearer hated doing that line of Mr. Rourke on Fantasy Island. I think he just didn't like calling Tattoo a freak.
Boss? Is it because of my size?
Oh, no, my friend, no.
Then again, this happens a lot where the animators, we just said Homer is watching Fantasy Island, and we had it in the background, but they'll animate mouths moving, and then we'll see it later and go, oh, geez, we got to put something in their mouths now. So that was written very, very much after the fact.
That's a great groan that you did of Homer. I think it showed up in a few other shows.
I'm not sure how many shows it shows up in, but I'm pretty sure it started in Brush with
Don't worry.
Greatness.
All I need to do is find Mr. Burns' inner beauty.
There were times, I think
That was a great shot.
That was one you did with Bart first, wasn't it? Dry away the tears.
Right.
Let me help you dry those tears.
Yeah, so even in season 3, we were already repeating ourselves.
Maybe I should just cut my losses, give up on Lisa, and make a fresh start with Maggie.
And we had an episode where Homer was having a tough time with Maggie.
And then we ran out of children.
No, you were right the first time with that quick fix idea. Let's see.
I like that Homer and Marge talk in bed. They talk about real stuff and
That's
what's
usually
going on in bed.
When we're writing, if we think that we've lost track of the story and we want to just explain things, that's usually the first thing we'll do is have a bedroom scene with Homer and Marge.
Yeah.
You go, Marge, what's happened so far in the episode? Let's recap.
We can't afford to buy a pony.
Marge, with today's gasoline prices, we can't afford not to buy a pony.
This, by the way, the whole inciting incident here, that it was Al Jean. He came in with the idea that Homer should buy Lisa a pony. That was the idea that kicked the whole thing off.
And Van Gasser says that there's lots of daddy issues in that writing room, and I would have to agree with that.
I love this exchange that just went by. The love in your eyes.
This is a real scene. They're
It's
really
really
talking to each other. It's not just jokes
Yeah.
or one-liners.
You sound like you're going to buy a pony.
All the married writers on the staff loved this run.
This is where we did the first fake words.
Those aren't even words.
We wound up using it a lot in our personal lives.
Snap.
Snap is a great word.
SNA. Oh. It stands for Springfieldians for Nonviolence, Understanding, and Helping.
Oh, one of my favorite lines, too, is that there were Bart, when Homer gets the pony, and he says, because she stopped loving him, and Bart says, I want something. He goes, yeah, you love me, so you ain't getting squat.
That's right.
There's, again, a lot of complaints among the staff that does Homer really smell worse than a pet shop? And again, now it's not even a question. Of course he does.
Dear hound. Hey, this is a dog.
Oh, my friend, you're smarter than I gave you credit for. I suggest you try the Pony Farm on Route 401. Merely take a lift at the rendering plant.
I don't know how many times we'd use a wise guy voice. Originally, he was the chauffeur and the way we was, but he sort of just started appearing as different people.
Well, luckily for David Silverman, I've been keeping track of this, and one of the reasons I was doing so is because I wanted to see when that character actually takes ownership of that voice. But this is only the third appearance of this guy, the actual wise guy. The voice, there's more of those, but this is only the third time we've seen him. And here is once again the compilation of wise guy appearances.
Well, it's 1 o'clock. If you want to keep me, I'm afraid it's going to be $45 an hour.
Is this an orphanage?
Ooh, you're a little late, pal. They tore down the orphanage 30-odd years ago. So, where to, Pappy?
Take me someplace fun.
You're the boss. Next up.
My mother would like to enroll in Painting from Life 2B, please.
Whoa. Not so fast there, Pine Size.
Americanize this, my good man.
Okie dokie.
All those coins were only worth 3 lousy cents?
Let the good times roll. Forget it, pal. There's only one way out of here, and it ain't pretty.
What's that?
Dating a nurse.
Oh.
Hey, watch it, Chief. Hey, kid, you look good with that cigarette. Kinda sophisticated. Oh, my, what is that smell? Oh, it's you.
So that's 6 appearances of imposters and 3 appearances of the wise guy. And sooner or later, that number is going to start, his number of appearances are going to start creeping up, and he's going to take over. I just don't remember exactly when that happens, but this would be the first time he's been seen in the series since the episode Old Money.
And I don't care what it costs.
Very good.
This is Tress McNeil
Tracy,
doing the
right?
voice.
That
No,
was
it's Tress.
Tracy, yeah.
No, this
Pepper.
is Tress McNeil.
Oh, this was Tress?
Yeah, Tracy
Yeah,
did the
Tress-
dog instructor in the dog show. Yeah, this is Tress doing
Tress
Catherine
McNeil
Hepburn.
doing Catherine Hepburn.
As I say, Jim Brooks generated an awful lot of the material in this episode, including pretty much creating this character. I mean, not that he created Katharine Hepburn, but he said this is who should run the pony farm, and he pitched lots of dialogue for her.
Mr. Simpson, do you have $500,000?
Sure. Let me write you a check.
I think the design's based on Catherine Hepburn,
Yeah.
too, a little, we said.
Mr. Simpson, this check is dated January 1st, 2054.
Which seemed like a long time.
It's creeping up, isn't it?
Creeping up.
I don't know if it's been discussed, the idea how we used to come up with story ideas and work out the show in the old days, which was we would have a retreat. We would go, I think, 2-3 days a year. We would get a big hotel suite. We would try and get the presidential suite or the vice presidential suite, which they actually have. We'd go to a very fancy hotel with all the writers, and Jim Brooks was there, and Sam Simon and Matt Groening. And it was all just a trick to get Jim Brooks' undivided attention, get him away from the telephone for a day. We would all go in and recite our little pitches for an episode, and we would each have a 3-4 minute pitch of how we wanted the story to lay out. Then Jim Brooks would just run with it. He would just start talking a mile a minute, all these great ideas for the show, jokes, characters, plot turns. This entire scene was pretty much pitched off the top of Jim Brooks' head, and it was a fantastic thing to watch. I'm glad he's not around so I can say this, because he's the most remarkable writer I ever worked with. I've never seen a guy who he's improvising material, and it sounds like he's just telling you about a show he's already seen. It somehow is forming that quickly in his head that he's telling it to you. He can't tell it as quickly as he's thinking of it, and generally, if we learned pretty early on, whatever he pitched, we'd just throw it in the show. Even if we didn't understand it, we'd write in what he said. And one of the things that drove us crazy was there would be times where he would just pitch one line for a show, or it'd be some passing thing, and we'd throw that in. And sometimes we didn't even get the joke. And then months later, people would say, I loved that line. Or if the show got reviewed, that would be the line that every critic would cite in their reviews.
You know what I love about our DVD commentary? We all get so absorbed in the show. We laugh. You hear us breathe.
I think we should bring in snacks.
It's a testament to how good they are.
Eat along.
I'm just going, we haven't done a pony show in a while.
Shut up, I can't hear.
We actually did there was another episode where Bart was a jockey, and in that episode, comic book guy says, wait, didn't we already have an see the Simpsons get a pony, and Homer couldn't afford it, and he's wearing a shirt at that point that says worst episode ever. we are aware that we sometimes tread the same territory.
Excuse me, but I believe this family already had a horse, and the expense forced Homer to work at the Quickie Mart with hilarious consequences.
I actually agree with the comic book guy on this one. I don't know how you guys feel about Saddle Sore Galactica, but I would say this episode is even worse than Principal and the Pauper. And yes, I saw what you said, Cyril. I guess I did. I wasn't aware. Hopefully that will be a good thing if Raphael is, or what I call him, the wise guy. But if that's the case, I'll be ready to drop that compilation in season 4.
Anybody care what this guy thinks?
No! Just sign this form, and the money will be yours. Sorry, I was just thinking of something funny Smithers did today.
I didn't do anything funny, sir.
Shut up.
This is one of our first shut up aside jokes, too.
Here's our Godfather parody. This was not even new at the time. A lot of times we say we were the first to do it. No, we were about the 10,000th to do it. But at least we matched the layouts of the movie exactly.
So we've done 2001, and this is yet another Godfather parody, which I'd say is our most parodied movie.
Citizen Kane, don't you think?
No, I think Godfather's past it now because of Fat Tony.
Wow, what a scream.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great
Yardley.
scream, Yardley.
Here's our little Elmer Bernstein Magnificent Seven music cue.
So see, if you can buy
Great
a child's
direction.
love.
Yeah, that was
Great
great.
direction. That was
great.
beautiful.
Yeah, Carlos did a great job on this show. There's really nice shots and nice animation.
Isn't animating horses one of the most difficult things to do?
It's a snap. Easy.
No, but
it's
I mean,
very
they're
difficult.
notoriously, right?
Yeah, it's
Why
very,
is
very
that?
difficult.
How do you animate a horse?
They're just difficult. They're hard to draw.
No, they don't. You can't see this at home, ladies and gentlemen. But Julie Kavner just did a kind of a panther, sultry move. But that's not a horse.
Julie was.
Then I guess
Julie
it
was.
is difficult.
Could you do that again? I didn't quite.
Yeah,
draw
Julie
that out.
wasn't the model for this horse.
That's illegal.
That's for the courts to decide.
That's a line I think about a lot, where he goes, that's illegal, that's for the courts. That's sort of my philosophy now.
So, in animating horses, do you look at films? Do you rotoscope? You don't do anything like that,
No,
right?
not rotoscope, but actually, Muybridge is still the best approach. Going to the Edward Muybridge photographs of the horse and galloping and horse trotting and things like that. Other photo references is very helpful.
And that's the first time that they found out how horses actually ran, right? It was through photographs where it showed that they would go 1 foot at a time.
Right, it was a bet. That's a famous bet that he had with Stanford.
So that many of you probably already know this, but the bet that David Silverman was talking about between Muybridge and Stanford, that never happened. There was no bet between those two guys. In fact, Stanford financed the entire experiment and everything that it was involved in order to get those pictures of the horse running. And it may not seem like that big of a deal today, but back then they didn't have what they called moving pictures. They didn't have film. They just had still photography. And the fastest shutter speed at that time in history was like 2 seconds. It took 2 seconds to take a picture in broad daylight. If you were taking a picture indoors, it might take up to 20 seconds to shoot a picture. And this guy, Muybridge, basically developed the entire idea of frames per second and figured out how to develop a camera with a shutter speed that would be, I believe he started off around, he got it down to 1/1000th of a second. And he set up 12 cameras with these shutters attached to wires. And then the wires went across this field, and then the horse runs through the wires. And as it trips each wire, a picture is taken. And that's how he got those pictures of the horse running. And which is kind of amazing. And by doing that and then developing the pictures, realizing that you could show these pictures in quick succession and make a moving picture. This guy pretty much, his experiments pretty much created everything that you see on YouTube today, including cartoons, or eventually turned into all of that. But the bet between Stanford and Muybridge was just something a story that developed because it probably came from the fact that Stanford and Muybridge fought for years over who should take the credit over these experiments.
This is what love cost a month?
These are standard stable fees, Mr. Simpson. Plus, I'm teaching your daughter riding, grooming, and at no extra charge, pronunciation.
Father, you've made me the happiest girl who ever lived.
That was a tremendous laugh at the reading. I mean, really huge. And I don't know why. I don't think it's that funny. I think I wrote the joke. I don't think it's that funny, but boy, people laughed at that.
And I got to say, it's kind of strange that when Mike Reiss is proud of a joke, I don't think it's very funny at all. And then vice versa, when he thinks a joke isn't funny that he wrote, I actually think it's a pretty good one, because that one, I mean, that the woman is teaching Lisa, she's rubbing off on Lisa because of her rigid personality, and she's doing it purposefully. And I mean, there's layers to that joke because of that. I mean, Homer probably doesn't want her doing that, changing his daughter in that way anyway.
This bit is pretty much all improvised with Dan Castellaneta and Nancy Cartwright. We just knew we gave them the situation, and they sort of improv the whole thing. And kids, this is what video games used to look like back then.
Oh! Game's over, Grandpa.
I got down on the floor for this.
Man, video games have improved.
Yes.
Since the show was done.
Wait, Dad. I've got something for you.
I was hoping it'd be money.
This is another recurring sort of scene where Marge is going over the budget with Homer. And after a point, you go, why does she bother?
Well, we're always buying Maggie vaccinations for diseases she doesn't even have.
Actually, I was thinking we could cut down on your beer.
No, we're not going to be doing that.
This joke just popped up in our season 14 joke. I don't even think it was stolen. I think it was another family budget meeting, and somebody came up with the same damn joke independently, and then we caught it and had to cut it out. But someone may have a better grasp of the entire 300 episodes of The Simpsons and can tell us just how many jokes we've done 2, 3, 4, 5 times without knowing it.
It's kind of crazy, too, that he's saying that in season 3, or well, he's saying that about season 3, but he's saying it in 2003 when they had roughly 300 episodes. And just think about that for a minute. They have over 800 now, which means they've made more zombie Simpsons episodes than they have of the Golden Age. The Simpsons is no longer the Golden Age no longer represents the whole of this show anymore.
What was so great about this episode was it's great enough that he has a pony, but then the next step in the story where Homer has to work for Apu could just be rich enough just for one episode.
Yeah, in most shows you would just do that, or you would just have one or the other.
Num num, good salt lick.
It's a really lovely performance by Yardley Smith as Lisa. Al and I, almost every episode we wrote for the show, and we didn't write that many because we were running the show. We would write for Lisa because she's just so heartfelt, and I'm afraid she's more like us than any of the other characters is.
Need money.
This sounds like an ADR line, right?
Yeah, that'd be one of those. We put it in over the animation. Well, it was, again, we thought, is the story clear enough?
Yeah.
Although I remember being on one series, not this one, where a network executive said, be sure to remind the viewer that the main characters want money.
The audience people want money. This is a little ad lib between me and Hank here.
This was very funny.
Okay. congratulations, Mr. Homer.
Thank you.
If I could just see the ticket.
Well, there it is.
This is another bit of improv between Dan Castellaneta and Hank Azaria.
But you know you can't see.
Yes,
Come
I
on.
must. You
No,
have to move.
no, let go. You're ripping it.
It's a nice scene here, the voice and the animation. Did you do this scene with Hank?
Yes.
That's great.
Between improv and Jim Brooks's pitches, we virtually don't have a thing in this show.
Always I dreamed the day would come when one of you would be working for me.
That's a Jim Brooks line.
She certainly tamed that horse.
Yes, but what man can tame her?
It's a different voice for
Wow.
Ralph. there.
Ralph sounds
He
like
isn't quite
Nelson.
Yeah, it was a
established
Nelson
yet.
Ralph.
No, it's funny. And Skinner sounded a little different back then.
Well, it takes a little to develop.
Was that the right voice? I mean, was that a mistake? Maybe.
It was
Maybe.
Ralph. It was Ralph in the script.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how Ralph sounded then.
Yeah, it looked like Ralph.
So that's how Ralph sounded back then, huh? I don't know why Al Jean says these things. It's just so strange. I don't understand why the character being listed as Ralph in the script means that it wasn't that the voice wasn't a mistake. Because back in season 2, we already saw the episode Lisa's Substitute, which I would credit as Ralph's first appearance. And Al Jean doesn't agree with that, obviously. But yeah, they just made a mistake in the voice. It's the same person. Nancy Cartwright does both voices, and she just made a mistake. He's only been in the show a couple of times. But here is a clip from Lisa's Substitute, so you can see what I'm talking about.
Dear Miss Hoover, you have Lyme disease. We miss you. Kevin's biting me. Come back soon. Here's a drawing of a spirochete. Love, Ralph.
And there was another clip as well from Bart the Murderer, but his voice is a little bit off there, but it still basically sounds like Ralph.
I'm gonna eat 8 pieces of chocolate. I'm gonna eat chocolate till I barf.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know what you think, but to me, that's what Ralph is basically supposed to sound like. And whatever happened in that scene, it's probably just because they hadn't been putting Ralph in the show much. Like I said, this was only his third appearance.
These hot dogs have been here for 3 years. They are strictly ornamental. There's only one bozo who comes in and buys them.
But I eat. Oh.
And again, Jim Brooks, he pitched an awful lot of the Apu stuff in the Quickie Mart, and he just showed a lot more familiarity with convenience stores than your average multi-millionaire.
Oh my God, she killed him.
So again, when Al Jean and I were writing this episode, we were averaging, I think, about 5 hours of sleep a night. And I think he had a newborn baby at the time, so this really came from the heart.
Stealing squishies?
No, sir.
There was a guy, it's so funny, that squishy thing reminded me of a story. A fellow told me that he worked in a restaurant and he was drinking all the wine. And he had red, like, down his T-shirt. He went in and he said, have you been drinking the wine? He says, no. There's a big wine stain right down his T-shirt.
It's a very educational show, The Simpsons.
Now that was supposed to be a sigh from Apu, just that he can't get in the mood, and everybody thought that was an orgasm. We heard that from a lot. It was a big complaint from a lot of viewers. How could you put that in the show?
Homer, you are asleep at your post. Now go change the expiration dates on the dairy products.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, baby, date's over.
Princess Cashmere.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah, Pooh was actually a swinging single man until he got married.
I think we repeated this before ad nauseum.
And that again, I think we only animated a couple of those slams, and then we just loved seeing it and increased it to 5. And this is our
also that the fact that they added in, the extra door slams on Homer's head. I believe Al Jean mentioned earlier already that that this script was just sort of thrown in their lap. Well, not really the script was thrown in their lap, but the idea to write the script was thrown in their laps because they weren't expecting to write an episode this year. And little things like that helped them get this episode to 23 minutes. There's more stuff like that coming.
Parody, and not everyone will get it, but this is our parody of Little Nemo in Slumberland. It's a comic strip from, I'm going to say, the 1910s and 1920s by Winsor McCay. it looked like this. I mean, I think they worked really hard to get the look of the comic strip.
This is a great scene.
Here's our Little Nemo.
Yeah, we wanted to
in
do
Slumberland.
Little Nemo, and the music is Golden Slumbers from the Abbey Road album.
And the fact that they got Golden Slumbers by the Beatles in this episode, I believe that Michael Jackson already owned the Beatles catalog at that point. And something that isn't mentioned in this commentary, but I read online, apparently Fox paid some unbelievable amount of money for the rights to this song. And the strange thing about it, the reason that I stopped and brought this up is because apparently there are two versions of this scene. So there's this version, which was the original, and it only aired on television once. After that, they switched it to the other version that has slightly different music in it. It's only a little bit different, but it's different enough that it doesn't have any copyright problems for the Beatles. But they used that in the rerun and in syndication and in the episode. So it's come to this, So it's come to this, a Simpsons clip show. But at any rate, the reason I bring this up is because due to copyright on this platform, I can't show the two clips back to back so that you can see it. But there is a link to the Rumble stream in the description on this YouTube video. If you want to watch the Rumble version, when the YouTube version ends, this one will continue, and I'll be showing all the things that I can't show you here.
So I looked at a lot of course, of Little Nemo and trying to get that style.
Winsor McCabe was the man who did
right.
those.
Using a different color palette. I always liked that we used a different color palette for Dreams back then.
Yeah, it's very striking, where it's just some colors, but not total black and white.
Yes, Cyril, Michael Jackson, the Michael Jackson estate owns all the Beatles music, and that may sound kind of odd, but there's a very good reason that's the case. I probably should have mentioned this. Back in the early 80s, Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney did a song together, and according to Paul McCartney, I believe he said this in an interview, but he told Michael Jackson at that time that the thing that he should be concerned about as a young artist starting out is buying the license to as many songs as you possibly can, whether you wrote them or not. And then later on, when the Beatles music went up for auction, Michael Jackson outbid Paul McCartney on the Beatles music, so Paul McCartney does not own the Beatles music.
Really beautiful work, man.
I love that scene.
We were working pretty long hours at this time, too, so...
Yeah, we could all relate.
We could relate.
That's been a big change, man. This is when people had no lives and just were ruined the ones they had, and different now.
Is that bad or good?
Yellow.
I just got to say I love you, Dad.
I think we reused that footage. Was that from when she had the mumps? Her sitting on the couch?
And also that sneaker thing is from another episode.
Yeah.
Because Homer wanted to buy new sneakers. They took that and put it in this one.
What, when the dog ate the sneakers?
Yeah. That was actually, when you saw his bad sneakers,
Yeah.
that was actually taken
from
another episode.
I just heard...
Yes, and that's another one of the things that I was just talking about a couple of minutes ago, where they were just adding in as many things as they possibly could to get this episode to be 23 minutes long. Now, I'm not complaining. I'm actually saying that it's kind of surprising that they were able to make this episode as good as it is. But the fact that they used a clip from what was that? Bart's Dog Gets an F, where Lisa's model is off because she had the mumps and Homer was wearing different shoes. Like, apparently they were desperate to get this episode to be 23 minutes long.
Milli Vanilli was arrested for impersonating a McNugget.
Al and I, we had worked for Johnny Carson prior to this, and we found McNugget was just a golden word. It always got a laugh.
Hey, pink hat. Squishy, I meant today.
And again, we wrote the line pink hat, and then they had to stick him in this pink hat. We didn't really put a lot of thought into it.
Man, he looks tired.
Well, it's also why Bart gets to sass him isn't quite clear.
When Homer's tired, they can sass him around.
Well, he was a bratty kid, you know.
Although there is no change in my patrician facade, I can assure you my heart is breaking.
I wrote that joke, but I was trying really hard to sound like Jim Brooks. I don't know if I pulled it off.
Probably not.
Usually the episodes, I do like the episodes between when Homer and Lisa are at odds.
It really produces some interesting writing.
I really like this Apu line coming in. Kind of sums the whole thing up.
And we close the episode with yet another Jim Brooks line.
There goes the best damned employee a convenience store ever had.
I had something to do with this somewhere.
That's really a goodie, isn't it?
That was a great show. Great characters, all coming out of the character stuff. Great Yardley stuff.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
No.
Well, I remember what really surprised me. I don't know if it was the Christmas show or Morning Lisa, one of the really early emotional ones where people are actually saying they were crying during the show, and I just never heard of a cartoon that made people cry.
Bambi.
Yeah, Bambi
Well,
did.
Disney put out that movie this year.
Yeah, Treasure Planet, yes.
Yeah, for different reasons.
I guess it doesn't matter if accountants are crying.
It's kind of funny to hear them laughing at Disney back then in 2003 when they didn't think they had anything to worry about. But the movie that they're talking about, Treasure Planet, I almost put a clip of that in here, but after looking at it and realizing what it was, I mean, it's like a science fiction version of Treasure Island. I had never even heard of this film, but I feel like that's something that I should hold back for later on if I'm able to make it long enough to get into the Futurama episodes, which I also have commentaries for. That Treasure Planet film is pretty much Disney ripping off Futurama.
But I've actually gotten choked up at a few episodes of watching.
This is so great, because how does a kid understand that? Like, why? No sense of, like, what it would cost or what was going on for that sacrifice.
So it's a public service.
And that they didn't tell her. They didn't tell
Why
her.
you can't have a pony.
Yes, pony sales plummeted shortly after that.
Yes, we killed the child pony industry.
Anyway, thanks for listening. I'm glad you found this. This wasn't a total waste of my time. Keep looking. There's got to be 300 more hidden tracks on the DVDs like this. That's all I got, so keep looking.
So Lisa's Pony, as far as I'm concerned, you know, I hate to say this, it's going to sound bad, but it is kind of an average episode. And when I say average, I just mean that it's a standard Simpsons episode. And considering how great this episode is, this being a standard or slightly above average episode of the Golden Years, that just tells you just how great the Golden Years really are. But that's it, YouTube. That's all I can do here. I have more to show you, but like I said, if you want to join us on Rumble, the link is in the description. If not, I'll see you next Saturday at the same time, 8 Eastern Standard Time.